Welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. I'm Sam.
And I'm David.
I'm Ray.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Brooke.
And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Mandalorian. There was an episode that came out. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Was there?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, it's some significant one. I think some people showed up. That was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that happened. That's about it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Star Wars Stuff podcast.
I'm Sam. May the Fourth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Always.
no. That was insane. Before we go forward, though, we would like to say that Jeremy Bullock was a great addition to the Star Wars family, and he played Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back, and he really did bring this character to life, and we would not really have this character without him. So thank you so much for everything you've done for this character, and rest in peace.
Yeah, definitely. He was one of those actors, one of those people that were involved in Star Wars, in the original Star Wars. He was the original Boba Fett that would actually go to all the conventions he possibly could, and he would meet with all the fans. And there's so many kind of legendary stories now of him kind of just going to lunch with fans and going to dinner with fans. And I know he would do a panel where he would teach the audience how to stand like Boba Fett, how to like do the same mannerisms as Boba Fett.
That's
awesome. He was just one of those. He was one of the guys that I always want, that was just really kind of a huge part of Star Wars. I know Boba Fett didn't do a whole lot and didn't have a whole lot of screen time, but he was like super impactful. Of course, the armor was super cool. And as you can see in the picture, he put on the armor to the very end. I mean, I think he embraced it and he enjoyed it as much as any Star Wars actor, collaborator that's ever lived, really.
I've always been amazed with how little screen time that character has, how big of an impact that Mandalorians in general have had on Star Wars.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just one of those perfect storm scenarios that Star Wars encountered. I mean, it's like the dream thing that you want for your project is something to catch on the way that Boba Fett did, and the mystique of the character. Because we didn't have a whole lot with the films, but of course we have all the EU and the Legend stuff to go on. And now, of course, with Disney Plus, we have brand new canon, brand new stories, and a lot to talk about later at the end of the podcast about Boba Fett.
Yeah. And also, he also played a pilot in Revenge of the Sith, and he also played an officer in The Empire Strikes Back as well. So he was, he really loved his job, and he really loved Star Wars. And it was, it's kind of sad that he didn't get the chance to see this final episode of The Mandalorian, especially with the after credit scene. I think he really would have enjoyed that because he put so much hard work into this character.
And he was close with Daniel Logan and Tamir Morrison, it appears. They took a bunch of pictures together, and I think they did a panel. They did an interview with Warwick Davis in Essen, Germany for one of the celebrations. And that video, you can actually find it on YouTube if you want to watch it. So,
yeah. But what greater, thing for his legacy than to have a new TV show on Boba Fett, though. I mean, that's pretty cool. So honors that character for sure. It's obviously, like Ray said, it's had a huge impact on fans, that character. So super cool.
Yeah. So chapter 16, the season finale.
It was so boring. Like nothing really happened. I really wish it was better because, No, are you kidding me? That episode blew us away. David, myself, and Sam were doing a live stream for it, and you guys can see our reactions for all of it on our YouTube channel. And I believe everyone was blown away. And I keep seeing like on all of social media saying that this was the best thing that they could have done. And people were saying Star Wars is back. And I was like, Star Wars has been here since 2015. It never left. I mean, it's like, I mean, they've done a fantastic job. And the way that they did this episode was phenomenal. And I think that that they need to keep doing stuff like this going forward with all the Star Wars projects. And now there's 11 projects, and apparently there's also 4 that they haven't announced yet. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. I mean, all the speculation for this episode was just kind of all over the place. And I think everyone had the same kind of hope, but no one really thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, same. I mean, I was surprised because I didn't think they would do it, because it's a lot of work to do that kind of stuff, and the fact that they did it on a TV show with a movie budget, and makes sense. When we actually get to the park and when we actually get to the part and start talking about it, I would like to kind of deep dive into all that stuff, because it's very interesting on how they did it, and there's some things that I wish that they did. But yeah. So
yeah, we get the title, The Rescue.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we all kind of assumed that, okay, well, Grogu's going to be rescued. I mean, what did everyone else think about this title?
I thought it was pretty expected.
I mean, honestly, I would have been so upset if he didn't get rescued.
The tragedy part 2. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like the last episode, we didn't see him at all. It's the only episode in the entire series that we didn't see Grogu once.
Oh yeah, true.
And that hurt me.
Yeah, and the last chapter, I thought that this had a strong opening, and those 2 officers, those 2 officers that well, not officers, the pilots that were holding the doctor hostage, he really was antagonizing Kara by saying like, oh, I saw your planet blow up and all that stuff, and you could tell it was getting really heated, and I felt like there was a lot of dark stuff in this episode too that I didn't think that they would do, because it's owned by Disney, but they did. And I thought it was very interesting. And she gets mad and she shoots him in the face. And I was like, whoa. So yeah.
So yeah, it was another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actor, one of those pilots.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the other one was, and the other one I think did a small part in a Wes Craven film, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool that they used that old school original trilogy Lambda class shuttle, the same one we see in Return of the Jedi, and we've seen it so many other times. It's the same shuttle that the big 3 took to Endor as well. And yeah, I mean, original trilogy stuff always gets me, and to see the Slave One chase it and then go through hyperspace. Cool. Yeah.
There was a lot of Return of the Jedi Easter eggs in this one, and especially in the after credit scene. But what did you think of that opening of where Slave One is chasing the shuttle? And something that I was surprised is that the pilots were not wearing their helmets.
Yeah, I think that was the first.
Yeah, I was like, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's interesting.
And I was also thinking about how did the Slave One actually dock, and to go through the vacuum of space. So
I guess probably the answer for why they weren't wearing helmets was because they clearly wanted like human emotion in those characters, and if they had helmets, they wouldn't be able to do that. So that's probably the rationale for it.
That's true.
But yeah, it is kind of interesting. I mean, they were kind of like officers or something, transport people higher rank, so they didn't necessarily need to wear pilot helmets. I don't know.
Dr. Pershing was on board, and it seems like he's actually kind of a good guy. I mean, he's captured, the guy gets shot in the face, and his ear actually gets burnt when that that pilot gets shot, and he kind of like breaks down where to go on that on Moff Gideon's ship to infiltrate the Dark Troopers and to go to where Grogu's being held captive. And I think, before that, actually, we go to a planet where we meet up again with Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves.
We still don't know what that planet is, right?
Yeah, we don't know what the planet is. But
I was
it had smokestacks in it. It was kind of strange.
I'm thinking it is one of the moons that is near the planet Mandalore. I mean, it would make sense of that there would be close by, or it could just be like a random planet. I don't know, but it would make sense if it was close to the planet Mandalore.
And the ship that Slave One actually lands next to appears to be the same type of ship that Pre-Vizsla had. And I think it's Bo-Katan's ship now.
Yeah. We also see that ship in Star Wars Rebels a lot, actually. I know that they ended up taking one of the Imperial versions of those that was red, but that one was blue, and I think she's had that ship since the Clone Wars. I think that his is her actual ship.
Yeah, so this scene is really cool. Boba Fett and Din Djarin walk into a bar. That sounds like the beginning of a joke.
Sounds like a joke.
Yeah. So yeah, we have Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan, and we have Sasha Banks, Mercedes Varnado, and she said in interviews she wasn't coming back for this season, so she clearly lied. But I kind of like it when they do lie like that, because I mean we got a nice little surprise there. And missing is Axe Woves.
The
male Mandalorian. Yeah. So I don't think we got an explanation why he's not there, and I don't think we have.
Honestly, I'm curious if it's because of like they wanted like the women fighting scene. I was curious if that was a deliberate choice.
That was really cool.
Otherwise, they didn't have a way to write out that character. Like, why would he not be there? So that was my thought. But otherwise, I was curious where that character was.
So yeah, Casca Reeves and Boba Fett have a little confrontation in the bar, and it was pretty cool to see her fight. And of course, I mean, she has a wrestling background, so she does like a little suplex on Boba Fett, and it shows how strong she is when Boba Fett shoots out his
flamethrower.
No, the cable, and it goes around her wrist, and she like holds her ground, and
she pulls him towards her, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she pulls him toward her, and she like knees him, and she does like the suplex, and Bo-Katan is like not pleased with it, and they do exchange like barbs back and forth. Boba Fett calls her princess, which is not totally inaccurate because she's sister to Duchess Satine, but it says to his face he's not a Mandalorian. Then Boba Fett says, "I had never claimed that I was." Yeah, and that goes back to that argument or that discussion we've had for a while now. Is he or isn't he a Mandalorian?
Right.
So I guess that conversation still rages on.
Yeah, well, I'm curious because I need to rewatch that scene in the Clone Wars where Obi-Wan is talking to Duchess Satine about like, I met one of Mandalorian, whatever, and there's like, no, that's Boba Fett. He's not a Mandalorian, like or Jango Fett, sorry. And so I'm sketchy on that because we kind of know Jango Fett was a foundling, right? But like, do we officially know? Because I was wondering if she was calling Boba Fett not a Mandalorian because he was a clone, essentially. So he was no different than any of the other clones.
She probably was confused because she didn't know who he actually was. Because she did say, she was like, "You're a clone. I have heard that voice a bunch of times." So I'm thinking that she has no idea who he actually is. Which is crazy because you think that Fett has a reputation, but then people keep seeing him and they have no idea who he really is.
See, I got the impression that they did know who he was.
Okay.
And they already despised him because, I mean, he wears the Mandalorian armor, but he's a bounty hunter and he's doesn't really have honor like they do.
I mean, technically his dad, like, or Jango, whatever, if you want, he's his dad. If we want to call him like a Mandalorian, right? then like I guess technically if you're just the son of a Mandalorian, that doesn't necessarily make you a Mandalorian just because he wears his armor. So maybe that's the thought. Clearly we know his gene code was still in the armor and stuff. That's established. I don't know. The debate rages on, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it's this argument and I'm well, not argument, but it's this debate and then the debate between the Dark Saber thing, which we'll get into a second. But
I have thoughts.
I know you do, because you and I were discussing it all day yesterday. But yeah.
Yeah, Bo-Katan's main priority is getting the Dark Saber from Moff Gideon. And Avengers assemble, and we go to, I believe they're on the Slave One, correct? I think it's parked, and then they set up the plan, and Dr. Pershing puts his 2 cents in, and he lays it out, and then Bo-Katan comes up with the plan. And
it rhymed. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have most of the characters that we've seen. I guess we're missing like Cobb Vanth. We're missing Ahsoka. But it's pretty much kind of what we thought was going to happen up to this point. And we get that awesome shot of them flying through hyperspace with the Lambda class shuttle and the Slave One. And
I don't think we've ever seen Slave One actually go through hyperspace, have we?
I don't think we have. I think that is a first in live action.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Bo-Katan is flying. She's piloting the Lambda class shuttle. And we kind of hear her and Boba Fett go back and forth, make it look real that Slave One is attacking. And they come out of hyperspace, guns blazing on the Slave One. And Moff Gideon is there listening to the communication from Bo-Katan to the Star Destroyer, and you can just tell on Moff Gideon's face he knows something is probably up.
Yeah,
and it's almost like he's anticipating all of this.
Cool.
I don't know. This is something that Sam's been saying for a while too, but I think he is force sensitive in some way. I think he is using those cloning experiments in the blood to put into his veins to kind of make.
Injecting? Is he juicing?
Yeah, of being force sensitive. I mean, there's a lot of things that he says where it just really sounds like he's just sensing of what's going on. It's because of he just knows every single move that they're gonna make, and I'm just kind of interested on how he knows.
Yeah, he makes the line like, "Assume there's nothing that I don't know," or something.
Right.
It's like, ooh, like does he just have crazy intel, or like, yeah, can he sense some stuff? I was wondering that as well. I just feel like if he had true force powers, we would have seen them. Because like, unless he kind of like super force sensitive and thought that things were gonna end up where like, the Dark Troopers come in and save the day, and he kind of like foresaw that, or maybe it was just a hunch and it wasn't force powers. But because of that, he didn't want to like play that card and show that. So maybe we'll see that next season. We'll see, because I would imagine it's going to take up, I don't want to jump too far ahead in this, but maybe it'll take up like right where this episode ended for next season. And then we might see like Moff Gideon. That'd be a huge reveal, like right at the beginning of the episode.
He feels very Thrawn-esque to me. I mean, he's not force sensitive, but he's very, that's just my opinion. What I kind of got from the episode and from every episode where he's kind of plotting. He's just a master tactician and just a very good strategist, and that's why he's a Moff. But we get to see TIE fighters launched for the first time in a very cool way, and they come out of the front of that Star Destroyer. And I mean, I love it so much because I have a New Hope TIE pilot, and it's actually the same type of helmet that I have.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, look, it's David.
So Bo-Katan crash lands the Lambda class shuttle, and a couple of TIE fighters are launched out, and they go after Slave One, and it's almost like Slave One doesn't even care. Boba Fett, it's like he just kind of takes them out really quickly, and then just jumps into hyperspace. And of course, we have stormtroopers roll up, and we have
Before we go forward, can we talk about how cool it was to see them launch the TIE fighters like out into battle? Because I don't think we've ever seen that. Like, I think we've seen the TIE fighters come from a Star Destroyer, but the way that it kind of moved the TIE fighter over and then it kind of pushed it forward to launch, I thought that was awesome.
I thought theme park attraction right away.
Yeah. I was like,
if they ever make like an Empire like attraction at Galaxy's Edge, they still have room for another attraction. Maybe it's a TIE fighter attraction. Who knows?
That would be pretty cool.
And that could be the launch. I don't know. Just speculating.
Yeah. So I think the only other thing that we've seen that closely resembles it is from The Force Awakens, the mechanism that brought down the ties on the side.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Well,
but, like actually dragging them like a claw and like just launching them out of the front was pretty cool. It's the architecture of the Star Destroyer was for launching TIE fighters. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It almost looked, I don't necessarily know if it was the case, but it almost looked like the walls of the thing were like launching it.
Yeah. And I guess that every single time that shuttle lands, you always see that steam and like fog like come out of it. I think every single time that we've seen someone come out of it, it's always done that. I thought it was for dramatic effect, but it just looks like it's the way that it is the exhaust. And it was cool how the stormtroopers came up and like, hey, what's going on? And then you just see some lasers come out of the fog and they just mow all the stormtroopers.
They wasted no time.
They wasted no time.
We're on a mission.
Where's Grogu?
Where's my baby?
So everyone exits except for Pershing, Boba left, and Din Djarin. And the plan is for him to stay behind and for everyone else to cause a distraction, essentially, so he could go get the kid. And we see the Dark Troopers power up, and they did talk about Dr. Pershing mentioned the fact that it takes a few minutes for them to charge up, power up, for them to be in attack mode, essentially. And yeah, we get Din Djarin going directly to Grogu, and we have an awesome action sequence again on a bridge, again with no railing. And right below it is an opening to space.
Not OSHA approved.
No.
Not OSHA approved.
No.
They didn't have it back then.
Above 4 feet, you need a railing, I believe. So, or a harness. Just saying.
They are not following any of the correct protocols.
Galactic OSHA. Yeah, I guess not.
But it was really cool to see that stormtrooper fall into it, fall into the field, and like just go into never-ending space.
We also saw we saw Bo-Katan and the other person like both like kind of dive, and
they just jump off the side like nothing.
Yeah. I was like, whoa! I was
that
like,
was
nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
And it was also a cool, like it was an all-girl gang there kicking butt. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of people commented on that after the fact, and to me, it's kind of like, I mean, are we still talking about that? I mean, is that still like a thing?
It's just something that like you don't see it as much, and so like I don't know, just being a girl, I noticed it. I was like, oh, hey, this is actually really cool. It's a group of girls, so like I noticed it, and I thought it was cool, and it wasn't like they didn't make a big deal out of it, like necessarily like they did in Endgame, where it was like, look at this. It was just kind of like a subtle. They didn't like. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and the big reason why people were trying to make that into a big deal in Endgame was because of all these characters were backing up Captain Marvel, and you saw Captain Marvel take down that big ship, and then all these characters were trying to back her up, and it's just like she doesn't need backup. But in this case, I think that fit well, and I don't know why people are making a big deal out of it. If they are, I don't know why, because it fits well.
Cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I thought like if it was solely for the fact of having girls for solely that reason to kick butt, and that was solely the purpose, like I would maybe be like, that's a little annoying. Come on. But the fact that all those characters were freaking awesome and like they all completely deserve to be there, I totally
totally agree with everyone.
If it wouldn't have made sense, like, because, like, I don't know, like, there's another male character or something that was just chilling out in the ship, like, just chilling, like, yeah, sorry, I'm not here because I'm a man. Hello, you know, and he wasn't part of it. Then I would
no, yeah, like, it definitely, like, it made sense. Yeah, it didn't feel like a forced thing.
Yeah, right. Star Wars jokes. Yeah, but I still think that the Empire should have done some training for the stormtroopers, because these guys don't, like, I mean, like, honestly, it is so sad to, like, go for them to go into battle and they don't even get the chance to fire half of the time.
Well, the Empire,
I think it just goes to show that, like, the Empire doesn't really care. They don't really care. They're just like, they just think of stormtroopers as just like these kind of, like, you know, get some more. If they die, we can get more. Like, they don't really care.
It's numbers over quality. I mean, that's kind of when it goes back to the clones, where they didn't have a whole lot of clones. They were all like super pro versus like the separatists who were like just numbers basically. And like battle droids are awful. So it's kind of like the same thing. They kind of reverted back to that, where like stormtroopers are just completely incapable. And I would agree.
Just go on the street.
Capable, wonder, honestly, like, I don't know, is it the Empire, like, Stormtrooper Academy, is it, like, you know, seriously in shambles right now? They need a
of like, hey, you want to join the Empire? Like, come on, I have no experience. Come on board, come on. And then they just come out and then they just get mowed down.
At this point, they haven't been kidnapping children from birth either to join. Joining the First Order. Have a hard time getting quality people. You know, if you can't kidnap them,
right?
Where can you get the quality from? Exactly, that's the point.
Samuel,
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I have a question on Dark Troopers because we talked about that really quick. I thought it was interesting that they had to charge. Like, obviously, it's a cool plot point because that was the whole purpose, is that they had to charge before deploying. Have we ever seen that with any sort of droid in the Star Wars universe before? And I was wondering, like,
possibly the battle droids.
I was thinking that, like, well, okay, so like clearly, like, let's go back to like the Battle of Naboo, right? Gungans versus droids on that hill in Phantom Menace, right? So they're all deployed out of like those troop ship things. But I didn't necessarily get the sense that they were getting charged at that point, but instead, like, that's just how they like were deployed. Like, it was an easy way to do it. Except for they did have the control ship that was powering them all. So maybe because of that technology, they didn't need like to be charged. But maybe this is a new technology, it needs to be charged. I don't know. Ray, you were saying
remember hearing in the Clone Wars that like the battle droids needed to be recharged.
Yeah.
But I don't remember ever seeing any charging mechanism of any kind.
I don't think I was going to say, I think the only time that we really saw them like charged and coming on to battle was, I mean, it wasn't the only time, but the first time we saw it was in the Phantom Menace, where like the droids come out in the ship that's called the MTT, and it like kind of has them come out and they sit down and they're all folded up and then they like go up and stuff. I think when they're in that position, I think that's when they're charging, like in the ship. Yeah.
The other thing that you could maybe argue is obviously they have to plug in like the Millennium Falcon every once in a while, you know, like the big tube things,
yeah,
charge or whatever. And because these Dark Troopers have like basically Iron Man capabilities where they can fly around, maybe that needs to be charged or something. I don't know. Another thought. It's like the ship technology.
We also saw a blaster get fully jammed as well. We saw something similar in the last chapter, but I thought that was just got overheated. But in this one, Cara Dune's blaster actually gets jammed, and then she's like trying to mess with it, and we never seen that before either.
I thought that was kind of interesting to see, because you would think that like it's got to happen eventually.
Yeah.
So getting to see it was kind of cool, and I loved how she's trying to fix it, and she's just banging on it and just swearing. I was like, same.
How does a blaster jam? That's my question. If you're shooting light.
Yeah.
You don't put logic into Star Wars.
Like a laser pointer can't jam.
Like whatever it does to make it go, jam.
Listen. In Star Wars, there is sound, there is oxygen, there is gravity. All right, fire, explosions.
I know. Suspend reality. They have platforms above space with no guardrails. You know, you just accept it.
And I guess, I mean, you figure there's mechanical parts in these blasters as well. Yeah. So those mechanical parts and gears, maybe that was kind of what the jamming was. But yeah, it was so cool to see them go down a hallway and just take out all these stormtroopers. And all while the Dark Troopers were unplugging themselves, getting ready for battle here.
That was so stressful. Every time they would show them, I was like, oh, they're getting closer.
Yeah, and I always had the kind of impression that they were like super OP, and then when they talked about them being charged, it's like, oh man, it's like these are like another level. I mean, the weight, they look very heavy, and they look pretty strong, pretty durable, and super resistant to blaster fire. And we get Din Djarin encountering the charging station, and he rolls up. He uses a code cylinder to close the doors.
Yeah.
But one Dark Trooper gets through, and we get to see just how devastating the Dark Trooper actually is.
Yeah. She's like punching his head, and
I love the menacing slow punch. Beautiful.
It was disturbing.
I was gonna say we really see his armor take a bunch of hits in this episode. Like, I mean, and he walks away with it without a scratch. So his armor, like that type of armor, is super strong. Man. Yeah. And something else for the Dark Troopers, which I guess this is also kind of breaking news in a way. Dubstep is now canon in Star Wars.
Yep.
I never thought I would ever say that, but it
worked. It was an interesting choice. I don't think they should do that in like one of the the Skywalker saga films. They didn't.
Yeah. I was gonna say
it fit for the purpose.
Yeah,
it's an interesting choice though, for sure.
Yeah. I was not expecting it, and I know that my older brother, who loves dubstep, I told him, and he was like, "Really? Oh, okay. I really have to watch this new episode then." I was like, "Okay." Well, I was like, "All right, man." Yeah. But
Din Djarin dispatches that lone Dark Trooper with his pure Beskar spear, a straight shot to the neck. After he gets kind of like beat up, and just his Beskar takes a pounding. But doesn't get a scratch though, which like I said, it's that pure Beskar. But we switch back to our other heroes that are going through and just mowing down stormtroopers. They go to, I guess, the command center of the Star Destroyer, and of course, Bo-Katan's looking for Moff Gideon, and they're shooting officers left and right, and we roll up on Din Djarin getting right to the cell where Grogu's being held, and he takes out 2 stormtroopers, and it looks like he breaks one of the stormtroopers' necks.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Like I said before, there was a lot of dark stuff that happened in this episode, which I was really surprised because, again, this is a Disney thing. Like I mean, yes, it's Star Wars, but it's owned by Disney. So half of the stuff I was surprised, especially the guy's neck being snapped. I was like, oh. So yeah.
And the door opens, and we get Moff Gideon with the Dark Saber over Grogu's head.
Mm-hmm.
And Grogu's wearing the little cuffs on his wrist.
Like,
he's like, hi. Hi, Dad. I've been waiting for you.
I really need somebody to dub all of Mandalorian, but give Grogu lines.
Oh my gosh, can we do it?
From his like noises that he makes, and like me, like, hi, Dad.
Hey, just chilling.
Yeah.
And just to see that Dark Saber ignited, I mean, it looks so good. The translation from animation to live action, it looks so good, sounds so good, sounds just like it did in animation. And Moff Gideon breaks it down to Din Djarin that he already took all the blood he needed, and he didn't need Grogu anymore, and that he could just take him. Of course, I mean, we all kind of assume he's going to try and.
Do you think that's
easy
true?
line?
I wonder if it was just kind of a trap. I wouldn't take that for,
No. Because he tried making a deal with him, and he went back on it right away. And I can't believe that Din trusted him like that off the bat too. Like, he's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go grab him. I was like, don't turn your back. Like, don't do that.
Well, can we go back to a really quick thing? Like in the third episode, chapter 3, so way back in time, right? When the guy who like originally gives Din Djarin the job to get Grogu, I don't remember that guy's name, not the doctor guy, but the other guy who like talks like this. That guy. He says like, I understand, bounty hunting is a complicated profession. If you can't bring him in alive, like dead will also be fine, at a lower
right
fee.
Yeah.
So I'm curious at that point, because I mean, do they just view like Grogu as like a potential force against like this new remnants of the Empire thing, and so like they would just rather have him be dead than be like a weapon used against them?
Right.
I'm curious about that. And I wonder if like, I don't know.
To me, it felt like they were desperate just to get something, I mean, you're dealing with a Force user. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where, I mean, it's a non-Force user going up against a Force user. I mean, you want to do anything to get that Force user's blood. And I mean, if you have to kill it if you have to, one of those situations. But they were just super desperate.
I mean, didn't we find out though in chapter 13 maybe that they couldn't use dead blood? Didn't we kind of find that out when they do the raid at the cloning factory place?
Oh yeah.
Kind of like, do they talk about that like in the Dr. Pershing's hologram, because he talks about like not having good blood or something, and talking about like maybe some other like,
I think he said they didn't have enough.
Yeah, they used up what they had.
For some reason, I was under the impression that they couldn't use the blood if it was from a dead life form, like the midichlorians. They could move on or something. I don't know. Now I'm just talking because here you go.
And we finally get to see the Dark Saber in action. Moff Gideon wills it. Giancarlo Esposito keeps on talking about interviews where he's actually like practicing with it and having all these intense workouts with it, and we see it like pay off big time. He looks really good wielding it.
Yeah.
And just like the Ahsoka episode, he's taking like huge hits to his armor. Mm-hmm. And we're just waiting for him to grab the Pure Beskar spear, and he does it, and then it's a full-on battle. Bladed weapon against a spear. And to me, that was kind of troublesome in a way, because, I mean, it's a spear. He has a total like disadvantage against the Darksaber, because pretty much if the Darksaber touches you, it's going to burn you. And we saw when the spear made contact with the Darksaber, the spear was like heating up rapidly.
Yeah. So I was waiting for it to like break. I was scared. I was like, is it going to break? But it didn't.
So. Well, then is the spear not pure Beskar, but his armor is? Because I thought that the person that I thought the spear that Ahsoka gave him, I thought they said that it was pure a Beskar. So now I'm confused. Oh, okay.
It has to be pure Beskar. It's just a question of how hot do you get the Beskar, because of course the armor forged the Beskar, so you can heat it up to a certain degree where it just liquefies.
Right. Well, I mean, his armor actually never got like hot and red like the spear did.
It didn't have sustained contact though.
Yeah, it wasn't like touching as long as it was the spear for it to get to that point. It was more like a quick jab.
Okay.
Yeah, and you did see sparks fly when contact was made as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and that was a super cool action sequence. I'm glad we got to see that. And, of course, it seems like it was part of Moff Gideon's plan to get disarmed, and he knew that Din Djarin wouldn't kill him. Yep. And he wanted Din Djarin to disarm him. And they roll up onto the command center, and we see Bo-Katan squarely in frame, and she turns around, and of course she's like, oh no.
Yeah,
Din Djarin is now the ruler of Mandalore.
That doesn't make sense to me, because in Rebels Sabine literally just hands the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. There was no fight. There was no, it was just like, I think it should be you. And she's like, okay, I'll do this for Mandalore. So I'm confused how these rules actually work.
Unless Bo-Katan never actually had the Darksaber. Like it was always in Sabine's, like she was the rightful holder.
No.
Because technically Sabine didn't fight for it either. She just found it.
Yeah, because she found it in Maul's lair in Dathomir. So
Kanan found the Darksaber on Dathomir.
Did he? Right? I forget who exactly found it.
Had it for a little bit, and then he gives it to Sabine.
No.
I think he just had it because he was trying to teach her how to use it. Right?
Yeah. So Bean actually grabs it off the shrine that Darth Maul has in Dathomir, and then she shows it to Kanan, and then Kanan goes to that one Mandalorian, and then that guy explains like the history of the Darksaber and all that stuff.
Sabine had it, and then technically Kanan had it in his possession for a little bit, and that's where I was confused. Gotcha. Okay.
Right, and she actually does hand it to a Bo-Katan without them fighting. So now the theory is kind of flawed of what they said in the episode, where she's like, well, if I want it to be mine, I have to fight you, when Sabine just handed it to her. So now the rules are kind of all over the place. So I'm kind of curious how they'll do that.
Been the rightful ruler anyway, before she even lost it.
So I think I have a good explanation for that question. And I think if you just kind of analyze what's going on here, it's not about disarming. It's about the story of how you get the Darksaber.
Okay.
So it would be, and the Mandalorians are a very kind of, I don't know how to say it.
They're a very prideful people.
Right. And they don't want to have a story where it was just like given by another person outside of Mandalore. But in this case, I mean, it's someone from the Watch, Din Djarin. They want to have a really good story behind it. So the fact that Sabine handed the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, the story was a Force user. It was acquired via the Force. I believe that's what the story was.
Okay.
And this story wouldn't be as honorable and wouldn't be as epic. I think that's kind of the explanation on it.
Okay. So, I guess I can kind of see how that makes sense.
Well, it's like if it's honorable, like if I hire Colin to go get me something, and then he just gives me it, right? He did the work. He did the work to get the Darksaber, right? And then he's just like, oh yeah, no big deal. Here you go. I did this for you, right? That's different.
And now Sam's the ruler of Mandalore.
Yeah, exactly. Then I'm the ruler of Mandalore. Pretty cool. But it's as opposed to me being like, I'm the ruler of Mandalore, but this is not my time to serve anymore, and I will bestow this upon somebody else. Maybe that's a justifiable transaction, as opposed to Din Djarin, where he's kind of like, yeah, I don't care about this. Here you go. So maybe that's an argument for.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and the way that Moff Gideon broke down. Go ahead, Brooke.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I like that. That makes more sense than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Colin, if you want to give me the Darksaber, you can give it to me. Don't worry about
it.
Dude, I'll accept it. I don't need a story.
You just have to send me on a mission, man. I will go out there and I will get that Darksaber. I will find one for you.
Dishonor.
And I just love the way that Moff Gideon was breaking it down to Din Djarin. And then Din Djarin was like, okay, well, I yield. And he's like, to hand it to her. And then Bo-Katan's just looking at her like, no, dude, you don't understand, man. I can't just take it from someone that did my work, essentially.
Right. And I mean, and that shows you how much he really doesn't care about any of that. He just cares about Grogu. He came there to get the child. He even before they both fought, he was just like, look, you can have the Darksaber. I don't care. I'm just here for him. And I just think that he has come a long way from being that bounty hunter that we saw from the first episode to now where he really cares about the child. What happens next is what made most of us almost cry, because it was just so, oh man, his character has come a long way.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
So we get a signal, and Bo-Katan asks, "Okay, so how many life forms?" And Fennec Shand is like, "None." And of course, it's the Dark Troopers coming back. And we didn't talk about it before, but Din Djarin pulls a lever to just eject them into the vacuum of space. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, we're done with them. We're only going to see one fight. But I totally forgot the fact that they can just probably fly through space, and they're
just droids.
Yeah, they're just droids. So I mean, yeah. So they're coming back. So the gears in my head are turning. It's like, okay, so how are they going to get out of this? Are they just going to blow up the ship, or how are they going to take on these Dark Troopers? Because I mean, they're just so powerful, and I don't want to say it, but I mean, it almost felt like it was Iron Man fashion the way they showed up. And I know a lot of people like talk about the fact that, I mean, it's kind of like recycled Iron Man stuff. But to me, I mean, I didn't go to that when I first saw them and saw them fly through the air. But I mean, it is Jon Favreau, so I mean,
I didn't even think that when I saw them. I just
yeah. So yeah, the comparisons are there, but they're like kind of marching along all in unison to the command station, and I'm thinking the whole time, okay, how are we going to get out of this? You know, we're going to get out of this. How is that going to be accomplished? And never in a million years did I think what happened. But we'll get to that in a second here.
Oh my gosh!
So they march up to the blast doors and they just start robotically punching them, and the suspense is building. And we see shots of Bo-Katan pulling out her blasters, Casca Reeves, and Moff Gideon's talking about how everyone is going to die soon except for me and the child. And it's like, okay, well,
he was
probably
so
not going to happen.
I just wanted to punch him in the face. I was getting so mad.
And yeah, Cara Dune kind of like throws him down with ease, and he falls
she
on top
kept doing
of a
it.
blaster.
I was like, yes.
And yeah, up until this point, I was like, okay, what's going to happen? I mean, it's okay. So I guess a Force user is going to show up. It's going to be probably Ezra, an unknown Jedi, something of that nature. Yeah. And never did I think. No. I mean, I talked about it on the podcast how I hoped a certain thing was going to happen. And you hear the beeping. Everyone's head turns. And off to the side, we just see a lone X-Wing just cruise in. And I was like, okay, Carson Tevez is here.
I thought it was going to be
the New Republic.
Trapper Wolf.
Yeah.
Character was going to show up.
Yeah,
well, I the Jedi the whole time. That's what I was hoping for, but it didn't happen.
I saw the X-Wing, and I was like, "There's no way it's not Luke Skywalker." And when we were doing the live stream, I was watching it on my laptop, so I couldn't see David's reaction. But I was like, David, because he's been calling this for a while now because he really loves Luke, like of that character, and I was blown away.
Yeah, the whole time I was like, "Don't give me hope, Colin. Stop, Colin. I'll say my name." And we see the X-Wing dock on like a CRT, or on it's pretty much a CRT, like closed circuit television, and it's black and white. And then we see Grogu's reaction. He kind of turns his head, and it's like, "Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah,
are we doing this now? Is this happening?" And I was like, "No, do not get your hopes up, David. Do not get your hopes up." And I hear Colin in the background, David. I'm like, "Don't, Colin, stop. Let's just kind of enjoy this." And then the Dark Troopers stop pounding the door.
Yeah.
And Cara Dune she says, "One X-Wing? I mean, what's that going to do?"
Right.
And then we see a cloaked figure walk out. And I'm like, they just showed a character that looks like Luke. I mean, that's pretty cruel. And then when we go to CRT, a saber pulled out, and I'm like, okay. And then I keep on hearing Colin, David.
Yeah, I know. I'm freaking out because I'm like, I'm excited for him.
And then that Force users just with ease taking out these Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to believe. And then we get the reveal of the color of the blade.
including the lightsaber hilt. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was just beside myself. I was like hovering above my body, watching what was happening on the screen. And
I'm pretty sure I had my hand over my mouth during this entire thing, and my eyes were just bulging out of my head, and I was just like, oh, like I could not handle it.
It was so beautifully built up because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, who's this gonna be? And then it was showing the dark fabric, and I'm like, okay, that looks kind of like Luke. And then I saw his belt, and then I saw the glove. I was like, that all looks like Luke, but it can't be Luke. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
So I was, and then like you see the saber and the glove and the color, and I'm just like,
no way.
they didn't do this. No, that's not.
Yeah.
No, I don't get everything.
No, the music that was playing when he entered, though, that fit it so well, and you could just tell that with the music, like something was gonna it just fit in so well, and it really sucked you in the scene. And yes, it was Luke Skywalker, but I mean. But before we knew it, like you could just tell that something amazing was going to happen. And I think Ludwig has done amazing music for both seasons, but this was probably one of my favorite like themes that he did, because you could not. I mean, at some point it does play like the actual Luke Skywalker theme, but before we know it's Luke Skywalker, like it's just done in such an amazing way. And it really does make the scene fantastic, like more fantastic because of it.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what Ray just said about how the direction was. We didn't have full confirmation that it was Luke. I mean, we got like small reveals leading up to it. And I mean, I was just like, and I said to myself before the podcast, and I may have said it on the podcast, that if Filoni and Favreau pull off Luke Skywalker, I mean, they're going to jump like another level in Star Wars, just the pantheon of Star Wars direct. I mean, I don't know. It almost feels like after this episode, I mean, they're up there with George Lucas. I mean, they've done so much in such a short amount of time since the Rise of Skywalker, even. I mean, they've given us Cobb Vanth from the books. They've given us Ahsoka live action. Boba Fett came back. And, of course, we got Bo-Katan. And now Luke Skywalker to finish this off. It's unbelievable. I still can't believe it. It's just unreal.
Yeah. And, I mean, and Boba Fett and Ahsoka, like all this stuff has happened in one season. Like that's crazy.
This season was wild.
Yeah. They really did raise the bar for new Star Wars projects coming out, and the fact that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are still staying on for Ahsoka and the Rangers of the New Republic makes me really excited, because there's a lot of great potential for those shows as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, can they kind of just oversee everything? I mean, it's
it's
like one of those things. So yeah, we see Luke chop down these Dark Troopers like nothing, and very reminiscent.
It's kind of funny because we saw Din Djarin have such a hard time, and then Luke's just like, no problem.
He's like not breaking a sweat.
No, he's literally like,
Oddly enough, before we got the reveal, what sold it for me that it was 100% Luke was the way that he held his hands when using the Force, because Luke keeps all his fingers together. Like they're all together.
A good thing to notice.
Curved.
That's very true. Yeah.
I first noticed that in Rise of Skywalker when he was lifting the X-Wing, because he has all of his fingers together. Yeah. And they're just slightly curved. And it was like, I've never noticed how he held his hands, because nobody else really holds their hands like that when they use the Force. It's usually like fingers are
like spread.
Interesting.
Oh, how interesting.
Now I kind of want to go back and watch the original trilogy and see if he's done it the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing the original trilogy all back in my head right now. I'm looking at everything.
Well, I don't think we have too much time on the podcast for that.
Well, I think I just scanned it all, and yeah, Ray's correct. So, yeah, and he goes into an elevator, and we see that on the CRT, and it's Grogu. He has his hand on the monitor, and then we see Din Djarin roll up and just look at this Jedi that came to save the day, pretty much. And reminiscent of the last scene of Rogue One with Darth Vader in the hallway.
Yeah.
We get
father like son.
Like father like son.
What a guy.
Did you guys think that it was going to be CGI, or did you think it was going to be someone playing him like Sebastian Stan? Because I thought it was going to be
no
Sebastian
idea.
Yeah,
I hope they would have done Sebastian Stan. Just
great.
I didn't think the CGI in his face looked good at all.
I didn't think he was awful. And I was like, honestly, I was excited to see like Luke Skywalker. Like I was excited like that. I don't know. I feel like it would have been a different actor. It would have not necessarily had the same effect.
Yeah, but if you
like I didn't think he looked perfect. I know he looks like really good, but like there's something about seeing like Luke Skywalker. Yeah, I didn't think he looked awful. Could they have done better? Maybe, but like I was just excited to see like Luke, like how I remember seeing him.
Sure.
I
don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I wish that they did the deep fake technology because it's out there and it's. I mean, I think the CGI could have been better, but I feel like it. You're right, Brooke. It was cool to see to see Luke Skywalker's actual face, and the fact that Mark Hamill actually came in and did the voice lines, and I think it did an auto-tune to make him sound younger again. I thought that was great, but I think that they could have done better. Because they've done so much this season on a I don't know how much each episode was. That I mean, like how much each episode cost to make. I think it was $2 million, maybe.
Pocket change.
No,
that's nothing. That's true.
Yeah.
No, I think it costs way more than that.
More.
I think good. Season 1 was what, 250?
Yeah. So. Okay.
So season 2, they probably upped the budget, and of course the success of season 1, they probably just were like, yeah, here, whatever you need. But yeah, I totally everything that Brooke said, I totally agree with. Just the fact that we got Luke Skywalker, I didn't care what the face was going to look like, as long as it was Luke Skywalker. And I was kind of thinking maybe they're not going to reveal the face, but then I was like, well, they've gone this far, and if he's going to meet up with everyone that's in the command center, he's going to probably take the hood down. But yeah, just going through the array of moves we saw from Luke, finally, I mean, this is what I thought we were going to get in The Last Jedi, maybe a flashback. And that, I mean, I think all of our expectations are low when we watch the TV show for some reason, whatever reason it is. But this totally delivered. And I don't know. For me, it felt like after watching Luke on screen for the last time, it like gave me some level of depression in a way. He was my hero. You know, he was my first kind of introduction to Star Wars. He was my favorite character, and just to see him do what he did on screen, just Favreau and Filoni gave me everything that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I talked about it in the Facebook group, and a lot of people talked about how they cried, there was tears. And I honestly think I went beyond that. I physically wanted to just like throw up, because I mean, it was just so like shocking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I was just blown away. I mean, I don't really have words for it, but I mean, just it did something to me.
Can we also talk about how Mark Hamill said that after Rise of Skywalker that his journey was done with Luke, and then he goes and does this?
Much as that paycheck, yeah.
So I think that's why it also threw people off that it ended up being Luke, because Mark Hamill was like, I'm done. I'm done with being Luke Skywalker. And then a year later he shows up and he's Luke Skywalker in his prime. Like, he is, I mean, I thought that was great. I thought that him coming back was a good choice. I would have loved to see Mace Windu or Cal Kestis or someone, but Luke Skywalker was probably the most logistic person to have come in. But I didn't think they would do it because the CGI and all that stuff of him coming back would be a lot of hard work, but they did. And it shows that they worked hard on it, and he came in an awesome way.
So yeah, I don't know if we have total confirmation if Mark Hamill had anything to do with what we saw as far as new stuff. Okay. But of course, they had to get his permission to use his likeness, and they did credit him at the end. But I do know the actor that was the body. His name is Max Lloyd Jones. And this is him right here. I have a picture of him. That's him.
Oh, okay.
So the hands, the body, it was him.
Dreamboat Skywalker over here. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So I was hoping for a deep fake. That technology seems to be used by every 12-year-old in their bedroom, and it looks better than what ILM has produced. But I knew ILM had the whole track record of creating a face from scratch. Like with Tarkin, the Uncanny Valley with Tarkin was a whole lot more minimal, I think, compared to Leia at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah.
And with Mark Hamill's face, Luke Skywalker's face in this episode, I mean, it didn't look great. But like going back to what Brooke said, we got Luke Skywalker. I mean, he was there. I didn't really care how good the CGI was on his face. And I think everyone was anticipating the Sebastian Stan reveal because of how similar they look. And I mean, he's in the Disney family already. Yeah. But we got his entrance, which was the reverse entrance of what Vader had in Rogue One, and it's right there. He actually kind of shows up in the mist, kind of in the dark, and I love that shot right there. And of course, he pulls down the hood, and we see the CGI face. Okay, and it looks pretty good. But when
honestly, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
When he started talking, he just looked fake.
Yeah. Like I mean, the way that his mouth was moving. I mean, I think they did great in the hair. I think they did great in everything. But and that picture looks great. But when he actually starts talking, you're just kind of like, okay. And they did a great job with Tarkin and Rogue One, David. You're right about that. So I'm curious on why they didn't do the exact effects that they did for Tarkin and did it for Luke, because of what they did for Leia. Like at the end of Rogue One, it looked okay, but it could have been better.
Yeah, I'm thinking budget. I mean, they had a huge budget, a whole lot more money to work with for the animators at ILM, and I mean, it could have been time constraints too. This could have come in. I mean, 9th hour that they're gonna do Skywalker finally, and I mean, the animators need a lot of time to do this and to perfect it, and it was really far from being perfect. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna get deep fakes on this, and it's gonna look way better.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. I was thinking that someone's going to do a deep fake, and then and something else that they could totally do is later they could actually go back and fix Luke and make him look good, and then redo and then re-release the episode.
They already re-CG'd Gene's guy. So
yeah, so
they got him out, so they could do it.
Right. I mean, that's an option, and that's something that they really can't do with films. So the fact that they have that opportunity to do it in series form for Disney Plus, I say go for it. I say make the experience more awesome for fans that who are kind of calling them out on it, and then them trying to watch the episode again and then rewatch and be like, oh, it looks a lot better. I think they can totally do it.
But the voice of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, they did crush it.
Perfect. I don't know how they got the voice. Maybe they got it from clips or something, sound clips, because I do know that it is very hard to take a voice and just duplicate it from scratch, because Darth Vader voices from animation are slightly off when they don't use James Earl Jones. And unfortunately, James Earl Jones is an older gentleman, so his voice has changed from the 70s. And the same thing goes for Mark Hamill. His voice is a whole lot more grizzled, deeper. So I'm really interested to see how they accomplish that.
And we will when the episode comes up in the new season of The Gallery, because that's coming on Christmas Day, which we'll see all the behind the scenes stuff for this new season. And I can't wait to see the stuff for Ahsoka. I can't wait to see the stuff for Luke Skywalker, because I'm with you, David. I'm really interested on how they did all that, and I'm kind of curious if maybe Mark Hamill came in and recorded new lines, and maybe they did an auto tune on it to make him sound younger, because I think they did that for the second Force Awakens trailer, where Mark Hamill came in, or I think they maybe moved his lines around from Return of the Jedi. I don't know, but I thought I remember him saying that he came in and did new lines for that.
Well, the thing with that was they used his old dialogue, and then Mark Hamill did come in and he did like the whispering part of it, like the echoing.
Oh, so okay, that makes sense. Okay,
yeah,
okay, all right. Well,
so yeah, oh my God, Luke Skywalker is here on screen.
No.
Crazy.
So yep, and now they've done that for Leia. They've done that for Luke. Are we going to see them do that for Harrison Ford?
Everything's on the table now.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, there's no limitation. They've done Luke, so it's like, I mean, you can't get any bigger than Luke. And Din Djarin asked Luke, is he a Jedi? And we hear Mark Hamill's voice from the 80s, I am. And yeah, that blew me away. The voice was great. And yeah, we didn't see his hair move on the model of the face. We didn't see the lips really move that much. But like Brooke said, we didn't care. So yeah, we got Luke Skywalker.
I was just excited to see Luke Skywalker.
So yeah, Din picks up Grogu, and the exchange between Luke and Din, he didn't want to go, and Luke is like, well, he wants her permission.
Yeah,
and
that got me.
Yeah,
this scene was too much for me.
It hit me harder the second time, actually. Watching it live, I don't know if I was just tired. Like, it wasn't that emotional, but I watched it again in the morning. And yeah, no, I was brought to tears a little bit. So.
I wasn't okay the rest of the day.
And Grogu reaches up with his little hand to touch the helmet.
The feels.
And yeah, it was super emotional. And then Din Djarin takes his helmet off.
Yeah, that got me.
And he reaches up and
he's crying.
Yeah. And Din closes his eyes.
Crying and
everyone's crying.
And we all know as an audience, this is it. This is the moment where Grogu essentially leaves the company of Din Djarin.
Yeah.
And it's super emotional. And we see the next shot.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the next shot, you see Grogu grabbing onto Din Djarin's leg even.
Yeah.
And he's still like saying his goodbyes. But then we hear a very familiar sound, and we see R2-D2 roll up.
Yeah.
I freaked out at Luke, and they didn't need to go hard.
I know.
R2 and I was like, I don't care what happens, nothing can top this.
Yeah.
This is it.
And Jar Jar came out, and we were all crying.
No, it's so funny because of when Luke Skywalker made his entrance and everything. I didn't even think about R2 because I was so blown away by Luke. And then when R2 showed up, I was like, oh yeah, because he arrived in his X-Wing, of course R2's there. But when Luke entered, I didn't even think about it.
I didn't either.
No.
Wait, question really quick, and maybe this is dumb. Can an X-wing operate without like
a pilot,
an astromech droid?
Yeah,
because
well, this is why that's
a good question.
I never thought about this, but like obviously, like in Force Awakens, R2 is not on Octu with Luke Skywalker.
I feel like they can because
Skywalker's X-wing is there. So how did R2 get off of Octu if like he didn't go that way with him?
Well, because he dropped R2 off, and then when he got to the island, Luke was the pilot in it, and then when he parked it, he just used the Force and he pushed the thing off. So
but how did R2 get back with like the Resistance people?
I don't think it needs a droid.
Because we've seen shots where like the droids get like shot, and that they're down for the count. I feel like they're kind of more like
New Hope.
Yeah,
autopilot kind of stuff, and like
like if something goes wrong, they can like extend their little arms and do things. I feel like they're more of like assistants rather than like a necessary, like a necessary thing.
Because we also see Rey actually pilot his X-wing in the Rise of Skywalker without having a droid in the back as well.
You're right. I just never thought about it.
So that's a good question though. The astromech droid, the R2 units are basically like onboard mechanics that can do a little bit more than mechanical work. They can actually probably fly as well.
They're an onboard navigation system. That's
look at Rey. Look at Rey doing her research. Yeah.
I was curious.
Yeah. So seeing him was really cool.
Yeah, and we get Din Djarin with his helmet off, just looking at.
Don't show me that, man.
Why?
We're all crying.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think it's Brooke that said that I could probably pull that like that kind of look off because of I kind of can grow the mustache and my hair can get long like that. So now when I have the costume, I can do all that, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
nice. And we see Din Djarin watch Luke pick up Grogu and walk off with R2 back into the elevator, and the door closes, and that's it for season 2.
I was so hoping that he was gonna like just run after him and tag along and just make it Luke, Din, and Grogu.
Yeah. Of being like, I want to be a Jedi too. Wait. I want to learn how to use the Force. It looks so cool. Nope. He just stood there crying like the rest of us.
And the report from early in the morning was that Peyton Reed directed the episode, and it was true. Peyton Reed did direct the episode, and he did a great job.
Well, I'm kind of curious of why it ended up being Peyton Reed as the last director of this episode, because I thought it would have been Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau or like someone big. I didn't think it would end up being like Peyton Reed.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Not that Peyton Reed's a bad director or anything.
No.
You would just assume that it would be a bigger name, someone more close to The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because I think this is his first year directing on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, The Mandalorian, because he didn't do last season.
But he is part of the Marvel Disney family doing all the Ant-Man films. And I really like those films. But written by Jon Favreau, of course, based on Star Wars by George Lucas. And the credits roll by, and thankfully Sam said something on the live stream on our live reaction that there was a post-credit scene, which I think is a first, right, for The Mandalorian?
Yeah. I was like, oh crap, have I been missing this? So I was wondering.
This is I was going to say
it's the first one.
This is the first one, and this is the first time there's a post-credit scene in Star Wars altogether, I think.
True.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, and I mean, and is it because of Peyton Reed as part of Marvel, and now they're just like, hey?
No, it was the perfect way to drop it. I mean,
I know.
Perspective, and it was just cool. So
yeah. But let's do a breakdown for the after credit scene, because of that really was cool to go see. Except one thing that really ticked me off, which we all know why, but
you can still be there. The camera
I don't care. Oh, you can roll your eyes, but if you're going to Jabba's palace, you damn sure should have Max Rebo. Sorry for my language, but come on. We all know he survived. So
Gosh,
frustrating. Yeah.
So yeah, we see the twin sons, we see the panda Jabba's palace, and it's like, okay, here we go. What's gonna happen? So we see Bib Fortuna sitting on the throne where Jabba was.
He got thick.
He got thick. Yeah,
curvy man.
So he was basically eating the food that the Gamorreans were eating because the Gamorreans like shrank. So Fennec Shan shows up. She's like just taking people out and leaves Bib Fortuna on the throne. Shoots the chain for one of the girls that are one of the slaves, and she takes off. And then Boba rolls in, and it's a different angle to the staircase that we've compared to what we saw in Return of the Jedi, which was cool to see. And Boba Fett simply shoots Bib Fortuna, and Bib Fortuna was played again by Matthew Wood, who is the sound engineer that took over for Ben Burt. Takes him out, and I think Matthew Wood was glad that he's never gonna have to wear that prosthetic again. So he's done.
My gosh. Yeah.
And he pulls him off of the throne. Boba Fett sits there. Fennec Shan is behind him, picks up a bottle of spotchka, sits on the armrest, takes a big sip, and we just see the camera pull back. Boba Fett's on the throne, and this is the shot right here.
Yeah.
And then it turns to black, and it's like, okay, well, Boba Fett's just running Jabba's palace now. Maybe he's gonna be like a crime lord or something. And then we get the Book of Boba Fett. Coming in December 2021. And see, we talked about it on the podcast that they were shooting stuff for a Boba Fett series, it seemed like. And this just confirms it. And Kathleen Kennedy said the next chapter comes Christmas of next year. So
we didn't say season 3. So
right. So yeah, she didn't lie. So we automatically started speculating: are we going to get a season 3 and a Boba Fett show running concurrently? And I think the official report, the non-official official report right now, is that we are going to get a season 3 according to Deadline. So we're going to get 2 series running closely to each other on Disney Plus.
Interesting. Okay. Now will the series with Fett, will that be 1 season?
I think it's going to be a limited series as well, but we don't have an official word on that yet. Okay. But the whole Boba Fett project for Disney has been through so many hands, so many different iterations, because back in 2015, when I was at Celebration, I was supposed to be at a panel where Josh Trank was supposed to come out and talk about his Boba Fett film. And of course, we all know he got fired, and then Boba Fett went to other hands. It went to James Mangold, allegedly. And then after the performance of Solo, they kind of held back. They stopped the production of movies. And then it became, after the success of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau, the story goes, he approached Disney to do a Boba Fett show. And that's essentially what we have with Din Djarin and The Mandalorian. But I think Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger were like, no, you can't have Boba Fett. Just do this thing, and then maybe if stuff works out, you can get Boba Fett. So it feels like they kind of held Boba Fett from Jon Favreau, because I think he's a really big fan of Boba Fett. Yeah. But now with a huge success of The Mandalorian, they're like, take him, please take him, do something with him. And now I think Favreau and Filoni are going to head up the Boba Fett series that we're going to get.
Be awesome.
Yeah. I'm friends with a couple of people that do Fett for the 501st, and most of their posts were like, well, now I have to make some furniture because of that throne was so cool looking. And I just know that coming up in a couple of months, people will have that throne in their house. And yeah, no, I thought that was great. And again, listen, I am an actual real Max Rebo fan. This is not like a joke, like a running joke that we do. Like, I love Max Rebo. So I am upset that he wasn't there, because I know he's alive. I know he is. You can all roll your eyes, but it's true. I know he's out there, and he's going to show up one day, and all of you are going to be like, Colin was right.
He was right. Character, no doubt.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how every time you bring up Max Rebo, something Max Rebo centric happens.
I know. It's like Lucasfilm is like, you know what? Colin has a point.
Hey, Colin, can you start talking about the handmaidens some more.
Oh yeah, I love Sabe. I mean, she is a great character, and I think that she is still alive too.
Just that your obsession with Max Rebo is the equivalent to my obsession with the Handmaidens makes me a little uncomfortable.
Listen, he's a cool guy. Look, I know people probably get annoyed a lot because I talk about it, but he is such an interesting character. But yeah, so I think it's cool that they have the set of Jabba's palace in there. I thought that was pretty sick to see, because that set is so detailed and it looks complicated. And I think Sam did say when Fennec, Shan, and Boba were standing like in a certain area, that's exactly where, well, near the area of where Luke was standing in Return of the Jedi, and then they press the button and then they would go down.
I thought the Rancor it was going to open for somebody, but
yeah,
it. So there you go.
Oh yeah. Jabba's palace. That was cool to see.
They look cool. They got that set now, so
yeah.
Oddly enough, when they were pulling back on that final shot, I was like, "Oh, this is a TV show I'd sign up for." And then it cut to the title, and I was like,
hey.
"Well, here we go."
Yeah.
So I do think that Timothy Oliphant is going to show up in this series now as Cobb
Oh
Vanth.
yeah.
Be there, and maybe some more Crate Dragon stuff, Tusken Raider stuff,
pod racing.
Possibly.
Seeing pod racing would be huge, because that was one of the best things that came out of the Phantom Menace. So seeing that again,
That Darth Maul. Those are the two. Like,
yeah.
The redeeming qualities of that film.
Yeah.
Handmaidens. What?
What?
Lucasfilm Handmaidens.
Yeah, Chapter 9. Chapter 9 feels so far away, so long ago.
I know. It's funny because we just got done watching it the second time last night, and I went downstairs to make some food, and my roommate she was like, well, since all the episodes are out, I'm binge watching it, and she was watching the first episode of the season. I was like, I'm really tempted to sit on the couch and watch it, but I was like, no, I like need a still process of what we just watched from this chapter. I think they did a great job this season. I think they did stuff that we weren't expecting and stuff that we were, and that we were blown away by. The great thing about the show is that this gives us the opportunity to see stuff that we've always wanted to happen in the Star Wars universe, and they've done such a great job with it. And I think that going forward with the future shows, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it made my mind go to the Kenobi show that we're probably not only going to get Hayden as Anakin, we're probably going to get Ahsoka Tano as well.
Oh,
right. And Clone Wars stuff. And yeah,
maybe some handmaidens too. Yeah, but so for that, there was the investors call, and they showed footage only to the investors, but that stuff is leaked and not that many people are talking about it. So I wanted to take the time to talk about it. If you wanted to help me, David.
So yeah, there was reports of artwork, and actually going back to the show, we didn't get any conceptual artwork at the end of this episode for the Mandalorian.
No, we didn't. And the music for the credits were different as well.
Yeah,
it had a different feel to it.
Yeah, and I'm interested to find out the reasoning for that. Maybe spoilers potentially. I don't know. I mean, putting Luke in a scene, that would be huge. But yeah, going back to Obi-Wan and what the investors saw, there was conceptual artwork of workers on Tatooine with a huge creature, I guess kind of reminiscent to those flying whales on Camino, flying above them. There was a water planet drawn in there and some conceptual artwork. So, I mean, we all kind of figure, I think, that Kenobi's going to leave Tatooine and go on some adventure. Yeah. But the question is, so who's watching over Luke? Does he just leave and say no babysitter and just leave him? I mean,
I don't know. There was also a concept of Darth Vader sitting on his throne in Darth Vader's castle. Yeah. And during this time, during the timeline of this, in the comics, his castle was just built. So I think we are going to see him hunting down some surviving Jedi, and then maybe Kenobi's doing his adventure, and then he runs into him, and then they have a giant like fight again. But it's going to be different this time because now Darth Vader is in his prime, and Obi-Wan's older. Right. So, yeah.
And there was a report that Tamir Morrison got cast for this series as well, and he's coming back as a Rex potentially.
Yes.
Oh, or Cody. God. Cody, not Rex. Cody.
Oh,
yeah. Well, so yeah, Cody would be hunting down Kenobi along with another.
That'd be interesting.
Couple clone troopers.
Do they know he lived?
We actually don't know what happened to Commander Cody after.
Yeah, I think that's something.
I feel like if they knew he lived, then Vader would have known he lived. Right?
Oh well. I mean, they never technically found Kenobi's body. And I first I thought you were talking about Commander Cody, and I was like, we don't know exactly what happens to him, but the scene went like he has to be down there search for his body, and then we never heard what happened. So I'm thinking if Commander Cody shows up and they have a face off again, it's going to be interesting because of the clones had the chips in them, and it forced them to do Order 66. So if Kenobi sees if Kenobi sees Cody, do we think that they'll be friends, or Cody will be like, you're a Jedi, you have to be stopped? Like, he's like, I don't care, there's a chip, like, I don't like you anymore. Unfriend.
Well, I don't think you can undo Order 66, right?
Yeah, but I mean, right. But at the same time, after Order 66 happened, do you think like chips like stayed on in the
I think it's just permanent. I think unless you just physically remove it like they did in Scene 7, right?
Yeah, but in Star Wars Rebels, Kanan says that the clones later said that they had chips in their heads that made them do it. So it sounds like they later come out of that trance from Order 66. I think that's what happens.
Okay.
I don't think they'd stay in that trance the entire time.
All right. So was there anything else from the investor call that we didn't cover as far as Kenobi goes?
We talked about Andor. We
4
talked
episodes?
about.
Is that brought up?
Oh yeah, 4 episodes that was reported.
So each episode has to be around an hour. I'm
yeah,
thinking.
They're probably longer than.
Yeah, it's going to be a long form movie.
Yeah, they're short movies, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, Star Wars is back. I don't know. I keep saying it's back because it never left.
Star Wars is back, baby.
Yeah.
The possibilities are just endless. I mean, with Luke being introduced, I mean, everything and anything is on the table, and I'm super excited. And hopefully, all these other new directors and creators for these other series recognize that and do what they feel is right and don't have any limitations, and they can all point back to what Favreau wrote and Filoni produced on. And I mean, it's hopefully this kind of sets the trend for what we get in the future and all the surprises. I mean, it's just awesome. I was telling Colin, I was like, man, I was born too soon, man, because I wish I was in my 20s again, having all this stuff on the horizon, and just probably so much more, and just all these new shows on Disney Plus and the films as well.
Yeah, Star Wars Celebration in 2022 is going to be huge. Because of all these announcements that we got during the investor meeting, all that stuff was probably going to happen at Star Wars Celebration that was supposed to happen this year. So I am excited to see what they have in store for the next celebration. And I know everyone's going to be wearing a costume for the Mandalorian. I feel like we'll probably see like 50 like Din Djarin's just walking around, and I'm going to be. I'm gonna be a Mando as well, and then I am hoping that we get a glimpse of what the other 4 shows that are rumored that we haven't heard about yet as well.
Yeah, it's a possible 3 to 5 shows. That's what I've been hearing. But I think we're going to see a whole lot more Lukes too at Celebration. Which cool. And I might take my green saber back.
I want to see Fennec Shance. I think that's the coolest costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are seeing her in the. We're gonna see her in the and we are gonna kind of get her origin story, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, just so much on the horizon, and
you're gonna see Shore Trooper with Trey at Star Wars Celebration.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's how we'll be able to tell you apart from every other Shore Trooper.
We'd be like, oh,
where's the one with the tray?
Sam. There's Sam. Well, like, hi guys.
Where's Sam?
Yeah. Yeah. He's holding the tray. But I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, the Mandalorian finale for season 2. I mean, can't believe we're talking about this, but yeah, we saw Luke Skywalker on screen.
Luke Skywalker.
They did it.
They did it.
Yeah, I can't believe they did it. I mean, that's
okay. I do have a new prediction. All right. Actually, I'm making a deal with all of you. If Max Rebo doesn't show up in Boba Fett, then I'm done talking about it. That's the deal. I'm that confident
about him, though.
Oh,
you heard it here first.
Wait a minute. Is that just for the podcast or also at home with Brooke as well?
Oh.
all the figures go in the trash.
Oh,
no.
No, I'm not that evil.
Oh man, but yeah, no. I mean, it honestly would make sense if he showed up in there, because in Legends he survived. He showed up in the holiday special. It would make sense.
So here's my thing: just because he lived, why would you think he would want to stay working at Jabba's palace?
Because Jabba was paying him with
Jabba's
food.
dead.
I know, but it's a gig. He's all about the gig. He's all about the music.
I think he went and found himself a much better gig somewhere with not so much.
Where on earth would he go?
Where on Earth? Well, how about where in the solar system? He's got so many options.
Well, guys, I mean, dubstep is canon, so
yes,
maybe he made it.
Him, Mick Droopy Cool, and DJ Rex from Galaxy's Edge will team up, and they will have
ultimate matchup.
Oh man! All right, well, I think that's all we have time for.
Yeah, now we're talking about all right.
On that note,
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Whew. My name is David.
I'm Ray.
I'm Colin.
I'm Brooke.
And I'm Sam.
And may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.
#MaxRebo lives.